I'm live. Hi guys, this is Jane Albright. I don't expect anyone to be watching this at the minute moment, but I had a chance to do it, so I'm just going to try. I'm going to flip this around and walk through my Oz room. I have not had my space up here organized since January of 2017 when I last hosted a big Oz party, but I have it again today, so I figured I'd show y'all what it's like. When you first walk in the door, it's on the 3rd floor of my house. You kind of see this sort of a mess. It just sort of goes all around you. It's the whole 3rd floor of my house. But right inside the door I just came through, right there, this is supposed to be a work table, but I never have space to work on it because I'm always dropping new things. This is a really cool French coffee table book of some fine art illustration work for the Wizard of Oz that should be reviewed in an upcoming Bomb Bugle. I keep my Oz autographs from the MGM cast up here. Half of my stained glass from Century Studios is in this window. Ozma's up there with a head full of poppies. Some other autograph pieces that I'm especially happy to have. I do have UV filtering material on my windows, so this stuff in the light is not just fading forever. I have a couple of big flat art stands in here that I just put everything big and flat in because I don't even begin to have enough wall space to be able to present all of this gobs and gobs of stuff. There's a big one and then there's a smaller one tucked right back down there. This case is one that's most Oz collectors who come are particularly eager to see because it's where I have things like the Ideal Dolls, 1939 merchandise. I don't know if you can see the Denny Holmans, that Tin Man and Lion. Desperately need the Scarecrow to complete that set. My 2 sweepers are in there, my soaps, my one and only hanger. Some of the older and more interesting peanut butter things, my seal test. I still need the Wicked Witch of the West to complete that set. And my string holders, my rubber Tin Mans back there, lots of stuff. On top I have a few Return to Oz collectibles. Only the Firuza Dorothy doll and the Tin Man are actual heart-to-heart. The chicken was a centerpiece at an Oz convention. Jack Pumpkinhead is handmade and the lion is a stife. Masks, piece of Jack Pumpkinhead art I really like. That crazy little lamp from Walgreens a few years back. These, you can't really see them, and I'm not going to take time to open them for you, sorry. But I have 3 sets of really old, I think the oldest ones go back to the 50s. They're flashcards in Japan. Well, I'll kind of show you what it is. They're these huge Japanese flashcards that a teacher would have held up in front of a class to tell the whole story of the Wizard of Oz. Kind of cool. All my Oz wine stuck down there along with 3 huge newspaper-sized scrapbook. My Winky is from Macy's Herald Square in 1989. He was left to the Oz Club by one of our members who died, and I bought him in our auction in 2014. The Flying Monkeys is a big hand-painted wooden cutout that I found here in Kansas City. I thought they kind of gave him a good backdrop. Let's see, behind me, oh, some random Oz puppets. A really fun Wizard of Oz Santa by a local artist. I'm forgetting if the lobby cards are 55. I think that's a 55 set. More Oz Winery wine. Muppets chess set. These particular bows were from an Oz Club fundraiser a year ago. I had the large 3 stones in each one hand set by the daughter of the woman who actually beaded the ruby slippers in '39. She was a year old at the time. And the other pieces, they're the ones that Randy Struthers has custom made to match the originals. Fabrizio, I'm sorry, I always forget his first name. I'll remember it as soon as I'm not trying to think about it. An Italian man who has an extraordinary Hollywood shoe shop also worked on them for us and different things. The corn cob was a centerpiece for an Oz Club convention that Bill Campbell up in Minneapolis, again with Century Studios, made for us. Replica Stephanie Mills dress from the Oz Club's fashion show. Those are some interesting editions of the Wizard that I keep together. Clothing rather than costumes. I'm not a big costume person. One of my favorite things is this wonderful old Patchwork Girl doll. And then these are my two 18-inch Dorothy Ideal dolls. There's just kind of stuff crammed everywhere in here. The original plan had been that this corner I'm about to walk into was where I'd put toys, dolls, playthings, craft kits, things that were made for children to do whatever they wanted with. And it still kind of is that, although there's just so much that it's sort of chaotic. File drawers, of course, are full of stuff, as are every other storage space up here. Love that metal sculpture, the rest of the Century Studio panels, a couple school desk, Universal School desk things. That particular Ozma poster with the pinholes in the corner was one that Rob Roy actually had hanging in his office, Rob Roy McVeigh. Original piece of Anna Maria Kuhl's artwork. I don't know now if that's from Hidden Prince or Toto. I'd have to check. Lots of DVDs and CDs are pretty much in that big ladder-shaped thing and hidden behind that huge mess of ruby slippers. My great-great-grandmother's heirloom cradle is smashed full of plush toys. This child's stroller is actually from Japan. The Franklin Mint set, table and chairs, is under there somewhere. Back here, I created a little puppet theater for myself. That's one of the Macy's Herald Square Munchkins. A couple old antique, or well, probably not antique, but vintage marionettes that I believe are handmade. And then the Hazel marionettes that were manufactured here in Kansas City. Remember that, Howard? You gave it to me. I don't usually keep the light on in this case, but I have all the lights on today in anticipation of trying to see what this place looks like when I get all of the lights on. Here's a fun piece of art I found at a local estate sale. Oh, Barbie's balloon's falling over. You just can't get that thing to stay up. I've had this poor dried out Tin Man mask so long that I once was able to actually get it on my head. These fun record players that you've probably seen have a Scarecrow and Tin Man in one spot, along with other Mother Goose stories. But this one is really odd. It's extra long and has one of those little zoetropes on the side. Okay, we're not even going to tell you about my storage area. We're just going to slide right over that and back out. I never thought I'd be a doll collector, but somehow I've wound up with a lot of dolls. That's an extra set of the soaps that is out of the box, and my poor Wicked Witch was broken in half. I glued her back together. Elmer's worked just fine. More dolls, more dolls, more dolls, more dolls. Some of them I'm especially thrilled to have. These guys, Dandelion, took me forever to find. And I'm sorry, Socrates the Scarecrow. Dandelion is who I'm still looking to find to go with Dorothy and Dandy. Back in there, it gets very crowded, but I may go back there in a second. I have all the Mego stuff that I have. This towering contraption is full of board games for the most part. I bought that Munchkin cookie jar because Margaret Pellegrini was going to be here and I wanted it right inside my door. I just hide stuff back here. Here are shelving units with all sorts of who knows what random clutter on them. Jump behind the light. The Megos aren't exactly arranged because I just have too much to fit into the space. But they're all back in there. I have the big plushies, but only without the box. I've never found them in a box yet in a way that I was at a price I was willing to pay. And I also need to find the Wizard still in his box. I don't have that. There's wonderful Return to Oz plush puppets are back there. What else is tucked away in here? Somewhere with Ivory, the Procter & Gamble puppets that came out of the Ivory Snow. More Megos. I've got a lot of Megos. Okay, where are we? Let's get out of this space because I've shown you a whole lot that's in here and there's more to go. That's kind of one corner of the Oz room. My best and rarest books are in this case right in the middle. I basically clustered them together so my daughter would know to treat them differently than she treats other Oz books. The Ron Kron figures were up there, the MGM bust, which I always liked, an original letter right there that is a fan letter that actually, a letter to a fan that Frank did not write. His wife Maud did after his death. The envelope's on the back of it. But my best and rarest books are all in this case. It's also a little bit dark here because I just don't want any more light on them than is necessary. Sorry, I had to get off camera. But that's where I have my By the Candelabra's Glare, In Other Lands Than Ours, Mother Goose and Prose, the Ozman Tales and Snuggle Tales, first edition Oz books. Just lots of really rare and unusual things that I'm thrilled to own. I tuck in this case. I'm sitting there trying to tell if this is in focus or not. I can't really tell if it is. I hope so. Over in this corner, this was what I kind of considered the library when I started organizing my Oz room. I'll get back in the far corner so I can show it to you. The Oz books are in that case. I obviously have multiple editions of a lot of them, but that's where I put them. I've got a few new books by the Dorothy Must Die series, the Gabriel Gale's Ages of Oz series. Paul Schneider's Silver Shoes is on top because it's one of my favorites. Baum's pseudonymous books are back in that corner. These again are lights that I never keep on. In fact, I keep them unplugged so they won't even inadvertently come on. All my pseudonymous material is in there. This is an original illustration from Wonder City of Oz. It's the only original illustration I have from an Oz book. For those of you who care about pseudonymous stuff, that Daughters of Destiny and its bookcase is about as scarce as anything I have. I just keep it all right in here. I love Robert Sabuta's book. I have it there in Japanese, English, and French, along with the dolls that came out with it. Oh, sitting up on top is a great Bill Eubank piece of artwork. Something Denslow did for the Roycrofters, and some especially rare sheet music from the Patchwork Girl of Oz. That's a picture of the cast and crew of the Tick-Tock Man of Oz when they toured the country in 1913, and a print of a picture L. Frank Baum took of his family at Green Lake in central New York State. This case is mostly Thompson books or Neal illustrated books or other random things like that. And then you get down to the bottom and I've got all Gregor Maguire's work and a lot of things about Wicked. I should have said the bottom three of those bottom shelves are more like reference books and biographies. Tucked back in that corner where it's hard to see is everything I have. Well, the main stuff that I have that's W.W. Denslow related gets pressed into those shelves. That illustration is a Denslow scarecrow from the house that Jack built. So although it's not actually an Oz piece, it's probably as close as I'll ever get. I have lots of international material. It's all right here. Whenever I say all, there's always random things stuck otherwhere around the room, but this is where I keep as much international stuff as I can cram into one case, and then it tends to overflow onto the floor and wherever because there's just too much. Those little shoes were from Universal Studios Land of Oz in Japan. I have a wonderful umbrella from there too, but I'm not going to open an umbrella on camera. That's going to be a little too complicated. The beautiful Italian translations are inside this little glass-fronted coffee table. Let's see. Wonderful chalkboard lamp. Beautiful Rink-a-Tink of Oz doll. Oh, Carol Carlson's dolls are in here. I don't know if you noticed them. I have dupes of a couple of them, but I bought them from her clear back in the 70s. Where is Scraps? Oh, she's hiding back there in the corner. Usually she's up by her book. And then an artist named Ruth Ellen made a bunch of little porcelain-headed dolls that I have kind of scattered around in these books, along with those wonderful bookends of the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, of which I'm especially fond. Okay, so I was back here. Sorry to make you dizzy. That was one of the Muppet houses from the Muppet Wizard of Oz, Munchkin houses from the Muppets Wizard of Oz, so it's tucked back in this corner. There's a little rotating bookcase back there that basically has anything that's really small on it. It's a terrible way to distinguish things, but unfortunately it's sometimes what I have to resort to. I have a lot of Scotty Young's original art, but I don't have it all up because I just don't have wall space up here. Oh, a nice Scarecrow Fred Stone autograph. I have a few things. That's another Denslow illustration from Pearl and the Pumpkin. A nice piece from the original Broadway play, which is kind of what's down in here. My those little glass plates are not originals; they're replicas, duplicates. But anyway, these wonderful shadow boxes that Bill Campbell made to help us raise money for the Oz Club convention in 2017. Kinder Eggs from Russia. Board game from Russia behind Rob Roy McVeigh's Tin Man bookcase that had been Robin Olderman's, holding the Del Rey books. More copies of The Wizard of Oz. There are just a couple places where I've just had to stick copies of The Wizard of Oz because I have so many. Gosh, I hardly ever even think of the Oz room from this corner, but coming from the back corner, this is kind of how everything looks. Back there is the doorway that we came through. There's a big coat rack in front of it, surrounded with, or covered with coats and hats and clutter. You hardly ever see this daybed because it's usually full of stuff. But this is the bookcase behind my desk. For years and years, this had non-Oz material in it, and I finally had enough bookcases to move things downstairs and start putting Oz things in. There's not a whole lot of methodology to what wound up there. Sometimes it's just because it came in late, and I didn't have any place to put it in an area late. I didn't have anywhere to put it in an area where similar things might have been found. Like all those are Denslow covers, and there's no room in the place where I have Denslow. There's a row of Oz books there that had belonged to a neighbor growing up. They're the ones I used to borrow as a kid. Oz ornaments that have been acquired since I last put up an Oz Christmas tree, so they didn't wind up getting put away with the other hundreds of Oz ornaments that I have. Let me zoom out a little bit. I think I'm zoomed in. Yeah, I am. Some fun advertising pieces for the white books. I just got another new map that I should put up because it's one of the old rare ones too. A couple of hand-painted plates. This is that wonderful pottery collection that I love. This little guy's from Japan. Love him. I have a few interesting international pieces on this shelf just because everything's just so crammed full. That's my shelf of bomb books. Ozianas, Oz Gazettes, other Oz things are stuffed in a file drawer. That little thing's full of postcards. Up here I have, let's see, what have I? An Oz Kids animation cell, a stretched canvas of the Andy Warhol print, one of John Coulter's pieces, Dorothy's World. The Oz Honeydew, or Oz Honeyballs fruit label just slays me. Another Scotty Young piece up there, original artwork from a political cartoon, and one of Joe Shipbo's Dorothy's. This case that I just slid right past without telling you about it is some of the coolest stuff I have, so let me get over here. I love that big Enchanted Island window piece. I've got a lot of reflection because this is a glass case. My Wogglebug Game of Conundrums. Let's see if I can get down from this angle. Bomb's Bust, box set of the Twinkle and Chubbins books, the Christmas stockings in their little box. There's a set of the Wogglebug cards, lesson cards back there. I blogged about the little jigsaw puzzles because it took so many people to help me get that. A commemorative cup from The Wizard of Oz on Broadway, and a little snack box that was another thing. Because Dorothy went to Oz with Imogene the Cow on Broadway stage. This big Scarecrow doll, I have two of them, and this one is in the better condition of the two, although the other one still has his hat and stand, which makes him pretty special. A couple waddles that I have. Some Russian Oz ornaments. My pile of board games, because, yes, I hoard them. An original Barry Mosier. Everybody Needs a Flying Monkey Fez. My Pirates of Oz bell from Ed Hoover. Here's the recent John Coulter piece I got, and my first John Coulter piece that I got. I keep mostly signed books in this case to make sure I don't confuse them with unsigned ones. Some Wiz autographs. I don't know, just random stuff. Let me keep going. Keep going. We're almost done. We're almost done. Just bear with me a little bit longer. Andre DeShields, extraordinary man. If you ever get to hear him perform, even meet him, he's just a joy. Another Scotty Young piece back there. This is a particular toner doll that David Dyke encouraged me to buy. I got to get the little Tin Man that goes with those two, and I'd have it if I didn't love Mark Howman. Here is a wonderful little Michael Roche piece that he did as a tribute to 9/11. I love that little Lucy too. She's hard to find. My sister turned her up in a estate sale for me in Arizona. This whole case is full of comic books. I've never really wanted to be a comic book collector, but anything Eric Shanower does, I want. So I needed all of his, and including all the ones he did with Scotty Young for Marvel, and it just sort of adds up. There's some figurines in there too. This particular standee of Dorothy to hold videotapes had been Margaret Pellegrini's. Kind of a long story that maybe I'll be able to tell you someday. This part of the Oz room wasn't supposed to be Oz. This was going to be where, like, my family could come watch television or something when I was up here. But it happens that our heater and air conditioner are both so loud that nobody ever wants to watch television up here. So here's what we have. That's the entrance I just walked in from. This is a jacket some staffers wore at MGM Grand when it opened. Most of the stuff, the books up here are not Oz. I haven't made enough bookshelves to move them downstairs yet. But I do have some figurines tucked in there. This little case, which is disastrous from the back side. I didn't show it to you, but it used to have my more interesting Halloween pieces. Now they're just kind of an overflowing mess. This whole area is kind of an overflowing mess. I have flat things that are too big for the walls, not only in that corner, but basically hidden behind everything else. Here's a wonderful elevation image of the Wicked Witch of the West castle as it would have been constructed for the Oz theme park that had been planned outside Kansas City back around 2000. Great illustration of Denslow I just got from Cindy Ragney. So that dark corner is where I hide all my Christmas ornaments in big boxes, and then I pile things in front of them so it doesn't just look like storage, but you can still pretty much tell it's storage. Lots of pillows. Love the Head Out to Oz poster. This little gal, let me turn this light on. This little Munchkin figurine is Fern Formica. She was a pottery artist. I mean, she did pottery. She was the Munchkin, and she made it of herself. And that particular one was one that she had given Margaret Pellegrini. Here's Fern when she was in vaudeville in some great ruffled dress. Another piece from the unfortunately failed theme park plan. Oh, that poster, Ray and Jack signs, Scotty's poster, a reprint of that. That was from an exhibit Willard did. An Anna Held replica dress, again from the Oz Club's fashion show. There she is wearing it. That's a stretched canvas print I had made off of a digital image. I don't actually own it. The big Spirit Halloween Witch that a lot of us got. I don't have all the Star Jars, cookie jars, and I don't really have space for them, but I have a few. The Franklin Mint dolls, the Tuscany figures. I think my Tuscany set I'm especially happy with because I think it's painted really well. I wish the Scarecrow was either green for the movie or blue for the book, but what the heck, there's only so much you can do. A lot of them I find painted in really peculiar ways. They're standing in front of a plate holder where plates are. I kind of end up with plates, like when I buy a lot and have some, rather than intentionally go to buy them, but they're back there. L. Frank Baum and his cast from the Fairy Log and Radio plays. This shoe, by the way, this chair, let me back up. It's one of those great big ruby slipper, red velvet ridiculous chairs. I have some really cute pictures of Margaret Pellegrini sitting on it, though, so it makes it a little more precious to me. Okay, we're almost out of here. Records. I don't have a whole lot of them, so they managed to cram into that shelf pretty effectively. I have 3 scrapbooks down there that are full of sheet music for the most part. This case was designed originally to be everything that was housewares, cookie jars, mugs, glasses, plates, whatever that someone made expecting people to actually, you know, use them, have it be the alarm clock next to your bed. They weren't made to be collected. They were actually made assuming people would use them. And that always interests me more than things that are made for collectors to collect. So there's a little bit of odds and ends there. Then my heaped coat rack full of various Wizard of Oz event jackets and sweatshirts and who knows what. Okay, gang, I think I'm out of here. I just kind of thought, well, I actually had all the lights on and had the place cleaned up. This would be a good time to show anybody who's never been up to my Oz room what it's like to come visit Jane's house. Hopefully we'll see you in person someday. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.